rolled up into it and I crushed my nuts. So I'm going to be doing a video on how to ride a motorcycle, right? I know there's a million out there, but hey, it's my turn, right? I'll be using my 2024 Honda Grom, my favorite thing ever. I freaking love it. Now, this video, I'm just going to assume that you've never ridden a motorcycle before. If you haven't ridden in a while, stick around. If you ride every day, maybe this isn't for you, but hey, stick around anyway, and maybe you can add some stuff in the comments that I may have missed. So, yeah, this is our 2024 Honda Grom. It's got about 5,500 miles on it. I've had it for 1 year and about 2 or 3 months. My favorite thing, I've been riding for about a decade. I did the BRC about, I don't know, 2013, 2012, something like that. And I've only owned two. I've owned the Ninja 600 2009 and this motorcycle, but I've ridden every single little thing you can possibly imagine except a trike. I have not ridden a trike. So anyway, we're gonna get started with what are we looking at here? What is this? Well, this is a motorcycle. Now this is our left hand side, right? This is gonna be our left hand. Now what are your controls on your left hand? Well, we'll start up here. You're gonna have your lights, high beam, low beam, your horn, and your turn signals or your indicators, right? You're also gonna have your clutch lever, and you're gonna have your shift lever down here. And we'll move over to the right side. Now, my rear brake lever is bent. I dropped it while I was playing around in the backyard. I have a new one. I just haven't swapped it out yet. This is our rear brake lever. This goes straight to our rear brake. This is our front brake lever. This goes to our front brake. We have our throttle. We have our ignition and kill switch, or I'm sorry, we have our kill switch. We have our ignition switch, and we have our brake fluid reservoir and our key. We also have our tank. You need the key to open up the tank. Questions? No? Good. All right, so now we're sitting on our motorcycle rather. We're gonna go ahead and turn it on. Now, I think the best thing to do when you're learning how to ride a motorcycle is just take it slow. Don't go and try to do what your friends are doing right away. Don't go, if you're down in San Diego, don't go to Palomar Mountain. Don't go hit those twisties yet. Be comfortable riding around in a parking lot, on the street, on the highway before you tackle that kind of stuff. But you have to start somewhere. So we're going to start in the parking lot. We're starting in our high school parking lot. Now I would recommend you just go to your local high school parking lot, Walmart, Target, big shopping center, big not abandoned, but let's say an industrial area that's not being occupied at the time, basically on the weekends. Otherwise, you can do this in your cul-de-sac. You can do this in your neighborhood. It's easier to do this alone outside where there's no cars because there's nothing to distract you. You can learn this, and then you can incorporate the world into this. That I think we should work on, or just think about, is walking the bike, right? We call it walking the bike because you're really not going any more than walking speed. So you're going to start your bike first, put up your kickstand. Now we're going to drop it into gear. How do we drop it into gear? Well, we need to pull in our clutch lever, right? Remember, that's on our left side. All shifting is done with the left side of the body. We'll kick it down into first gear. So we go neutral, down into first, up through neutral into second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth if you have it. Now, we're not going to touch our throttle at all. We will play with our front brake if we need to, but we're going to be going really, really slow. And what we're going to do is we're going to let out the throttle until we hear the engine start to take over. You can hear it. Hear that? Or I guess it's the transmission. It's the transmission interacting with our engine. Okay, so what we do is we're just going to slowly let out on the throttle, or on the clutch rather. And see, I'm not pushing it, I'm not pulling it, it's just going on its own. See that? 3 miles an hour. We're just walking it. This is a really good little walking pace. So walking the motorcycle. Now once you get the hang of this, you can put your feet up. Now balance is really important. Now make sure you're not going uphill. You want to be on a level level ground. But now we have our feet up, and we're just working on balance at this point. Pull the clutch in, put your feet down. Look at that. Pretty freaking easy, huh? I'm going to turn around. Now we'll do that again. Just slowly let the clutch out. Okay, now the engine's pulling us along. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? Now, I don't think people should be playing with the throttle too much to begin with, unless you're on a Grom or something similar where there's not a lot of power, because you could give it let's say you're on a 1000, which God forbid, I hope you're not, learning how to ride. If you give it gas, you could end up accidentally doing a power wheelie, and that's just where there's so much power in that bike that you do a wheelie. Not very fun. Not very fun at all, especially if it's brand new. Okay, so now we've done that. Now we're going to apply a little bit of throttle. So we'll let the clutch out and apply throttle at the same time. Now that's how you're going to start from every single stop ever. Slowly let out the clutch while you slowly apply throttle. You do that every single time, you'll never stall the thing, ever. It's when you get in a rush and when you try to take off the line too fast, that's when you stall. And a stall is when the engine, basically the engine dies. There's not enough power. Actually, you know what? I don't know too much about it. Just don't do it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to practice slowing down and putting throttle on without the use of brake. So we'll just apply the throttle and let off the throttle. Now be aware, you will get lurched forward. Now you don't want to lock your arms out all the way. You want to keep a nice little slight bend in your arms. See, I'm not touching the brake. My right foot is not on the brake either. Just like so. Now let's talk about turning. When you're turning on a motorcycle, there's two different ways to do it, and it depends on what speed you're going at. I believe if you're going under 7 miles an hour, or let's say 10 miles an hour, the direction you turn your handlebars is the direction that the bike will turn. If you're going faster than that, let's say you're going 15, 20, 30 miles an hour, if you feel like you're turning to the right, your bike will go left, and vice versa. If you push your handlebar to the left, your bike will turn right. Now, it has something to do with centrifugal or centrifugal force or something. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. So, all I know is it does it. So, we're going to go ahead and put it into gear, and we're just going to do little figure eights. Or not figure eights, but just little zigzags. Let's see what this guy wants, though. So, see, we're going nice and slow, and we're turning our handlebars. Now, slow turning is a skill everybody should learn. Everybody should know, because turning when you're going slow is really hard, and it's also really easy to fall over. Company over here. I don't know what he's doing, but it looks like he's having fun. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention about the turning. You want to kind of counter lean into it, right? So let's say it's all about balance, right? So you turn left, lean a little bit to the right. You turn right, lean a little bit to the left. Otherwise, if you don't, you could topple right on over. Now, for me, one, I don't want to drop my bike, and two, I've been doing it for so long that it's just kind of second nature. So you just kind of lean one way. Hold on. So, yeah, I forget where I was going with that. Now the next one is circles. So we're going to go around. I think it's easy to pick a pole and do circles around a pole. So we'll do circles around this pole. we'll go left and then we'll go right. Now notice I'm turning my head through this. Now when you turn your head and control your throttle, but when you turn your head, you're not going to get something called target fixation, and your body just tends to turn in that direction. Right? Now we'll turn right and we'll go around the same pole. Now turning right for me, and for I think most people, is a lot harder than turning left. And I think that's because you're working the throttle with the hand that is kind of, I guess, your weakest hand at the moment. It's kind of hard to explain. See, but low speed, like I was saying, getting yourself under control under low speed is really, really important. Most of the crashes that happen are at low speed. Okay, so we've done some slow speed turning, we've done some slow speed acceleration, we've done our little walk-in with the clutch. Now let's start playing with the brakes. On every motorcycle with two wheels, your front brake will be about 70 to 75% of your stopping. It has about 70 to 75% stopping power over the rear brake. Now the reason for that is just is like the angle of the dangle. Also on bigger bikes, not on the Grom, on bigger bikes you'll have two brake discs in the front. All have one brake disc in the back. So when you're coming up, let's say we have a stop sign and it's at the very end of here. What we'll do is we'll pull in our brake, our clutch, and apply our front brake. Boop. And we're done. Pretty simple. When you're out in the world though, you might want to use your rear brake in tandem with the front brake. Now here's rear brake action. See, I was pushing it down kind of hard, not really hard, but it took a lot longer to stop than the front brake. Now what happens with the front brake is that your front forks will absorb a lot of the I guess energy, forward energy, pushing it down, putting a lot of our momentum down into that front tire, into that front brake, whereas in the back it's just kind of sitting there. Yeah, and it does slow the drive tire, but not nearly as efficiently as our front brake does. So in your parking lot or in your neighborhood or wherever you're at, just go real slow and practice pulling in your clutch while applying your brakes. Now you'll start off just with your front brake, then just with your rear brake. Just so you can get a feel for the difference. And it's really good idea to get a feel for both of them. This bike, not mine, but the bike that you'll be riding, you have to be, I would say it's a really good idea to be super comfortable with it, almost like it's like a part of you. Because you're sitting on it with no harnesses, no nothing. You just have your dome in a bucket, and if you hit something, you're going to go flying. So it can be very dangerous riding a motorcycle. That's why it's so important, I feel, to get the basics down so you have a good foundation to build upon, so that way you and your bike are one. You're one with the motorcycle. You know that if you're going at a certain speed, it just becomes second nature. You'll just figure it out on your own without even thinking about it, that if I'm going 40 miles an hour and I hit only my rear brakes and I only have 200 feet to stop, I'm probably not going to be able to stop in time. But if I had 100 feet at 40 miles an hour, I could stop with the front brakes, no problem. And even better if I put both together. So it's about learning your bike. It's about learning what it can and what it can't do, and what you can and can't do. So we'll do it again. Go around this corner. Apply the rear brake. Apply the front brake. Apply both brakes. Geez, see how fast that was? Another little thing about braking. Get used to hugging the tank with your legs. Hug that shit. Squeeze. Otherwise, if you're unprepared and you're wearing some clothes that might be slippery on your seat, you could end up going forward. I have, unfortunately, had to brake so hard once, and I wasn't squeezing with my hips. I rolled up into it and I crushed my nuts. Crushed them. So don't be like me and get used to hugging the tank with your hips. Now, with your hips, your legs, whatever. I have kind of developed, it's just kind of natural now. I just do it. Sometimes I forget, especially if it's hot and I've got a leg out like this, trying to cool my nads. But yeah, when you're especially under hard braking, versus without it. See how I just slid forward? Oh, that was close. I almost crushed my nuts. So yeah, let's do a little demonstration. We'll see how long it takes to stop with the rear brake versus the front brake. So that was pretty eye-opening for me, really, having not done that in a while. I did end up locking the rear brake up a little bit, but hey, that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. I recommend everybody, and it's good that I'm doing this right now because I haven't done it in a while. Even if you're an advanced rider who's been doing this for years, decades even, it's a really good idea to stress test your brakes real quick in an empty parking lot, in your neighborhood, something, for a couple different reasons. It reminds you the force, because, dude, if you've done it before, you'd know. But when you're braking super, super hard, you have to remember you're not strapped in to a car with a steering wheel in front of you to push against. You're riding on top of a chunk of metal and plastic, moving through the air. When you slow the bike down, the only thing slowing you down is your friction, like your butt stuck on the seat, your hips, legs wrapped around the tank, and your arms locked out. Or not locked out, but bracing for that force. Now, it's not a good idea to ride with your arms locked out like so. You want to kind of have a little bit of wiggle in them, and that is just it's more of a feedback thing. You're less likely to get yourself into bind if you have a little bit of room to fuck with, right, with your arms. If you're all locked up, you know, it's really hard, because let's say you have to maneuver out of something really quick. Well, your arms are all locked up. You have to take a split second to basically unlock your arms and move about. When you do encounter hard braking, then I think sure, it's a good idea maybe to lock your arms out. Otherwise, just push against your handlebars. They can take it, don't worry. But it's just good practice to, when you know, to anticipate as well. When you know that it should be automatic. You know that, hey, I'm gonna slam my brakes on, and your arms automatically stiffen. So that way you can push against your handlebars to slow your body down. If you can slow your body down, let's say you're gonna crash regardless, the slower that you can make yourself, the safer you'll be, right? So if you're going 65 miles an hour and you have to brake, I'd rather crash at 60 than 65, right? Because all that force, you know, whatever you're gonna run into will be lessened by that 5 mile an hour difference. If you can slow down even farther, perfect. If you can stop entirely, great. That's exactly what we want. I've been riding a lot with one hand. Don't until you're pretty comfortable. I would you know, keep both of your hands on the bike. I like to keep my hands on the bike on the handlebars if I'm in somewhere new, if I don't know where I am, especially like back roads or something like that. I'll keep both because I might have to dodge out of the way of a logging truck or a cow or a pig in the middle of the road, or some sort of hazard that I don't know is there, or a big pothole, something like that. As you're riding can be tiring because of all the things that you're doing. The shifting, right? The downshifting. We'll get into that in the next video. The upshifting, the downshifting, the braking, the looking through your corners, the constant scan. You know, you're not on your phone. You're out and in the world. And you'd be surprised at how many people you'll see that are teetering on the line or whatever. You can tell they're distracted. They're on their phone or something. So it can be pretty tiring. I don't remember exactly what I was saying with that. So yeah, when you're in your empty parking lot, go over these steps that I was just talking about, and you'll be ready to rock on the road in no time. It should take you about, I don't know, 3 days to master everything that we've talked about. You know, maybe not master it, but get good enough to the point where, okay, I can do this without overthinking. And within a month or so, it might become second nature for you. It just depends on how much you ride and how much you actually practice the basics. Yeah, so what kind of bike would I recommend if you're just starting out? Well, I'm very biased. I think the Honda Grom or the Kawasaki Z125, or if that's not your cup of tea, a Honda Rebel. Something small, something that won't scare you. Because, and trust me, and there's nothing wrong with being scared, because I was scared as fuck on my first bike. I didn't ride before at all, before I started riding my ZX6R, my Kawasaki 600. That was eye-opening for me. I learned on that, and I power wheelied on accident because I missed a gear. I ended up, I was still in first gear. I didn't kick out of second gear, and I blipped my throttle. Oh, oops! I blipped my throttle, let out the clutch, and that's a recipe for a wheelie right there. Or I guess that's not a power wheelie. I did do a power wheelie actually in the Target parking lot over off whatever highway over by San Marcos in Oceanside, and I was being stupid and I didn't really think about it. I didn't really know how much power the motherfucker had, and I just opened it up. I went, wah! And next thing you know, I was thrown back in my seat, and I was like, oh shit. Now luckily I didn't drop it, I saved it, but that was not a pleasant experience, and I was afraid for a while of my bike before I figured it all out and mastered it. And Yeah, so I would say something small, unassuming, something that can't hurt you. Besides, this thing only weighs 200 pounds. The Kawasaki was about 400. So that's double the weight. It's bigger too. It's big. The geometry of it's way different. It's not meant for going slow. You know, the Grom is kind of made for whatever you want. A Honda Rebel, I would say the same. I've ridden a Rebel before. Those are pretty fun, dude. And I think, what is that, a 200 and something cc, 400 cc, whatever it is. But it's a nice lightweight bike. I think it's got a small V-twin in it, and it's a fun little motherfucker. So I would, yeah, I wouldn't, you know, of course, do what you want. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I would advise against a 600 and up. Now, like a Ninja or like a Yamaha, like an R3, that'd be fine too. That'd be fine. You know, there's no sense in, I mean, really, if you think about it, no sense in buying a bike or whatever like this if you're only going to be using it to practice. Now, when you do end up going to, if you're in the United States, you'll have to go to your basic or beginner rider course, BRC. And they have a lot of Husqvarna. They've got, now they have the Honda Grom. They have the Z125s that have just been used and abused. But it's a great bike to learn on. You know, like I said, it's only 200 pounds. If you drop it, it's not a big deal. It's really cheap to fix. If it lands on your leg, it won't shatter your fucking leg like a Harley would. It's just too heavy. They're really, really heavy. You know, I just think it's nice and light. If you dump the throttle, watch. Okay, so, you know, our front tire didn't lift off the ground. It's not going to. In fact, there's videos on how to wheelie on these things, and we're going to learn how to do that too, but, because we had a bad experience with wheelies once, and it just kind of ruined it, but we're going to get back into it. But, you know, you won't power wheelie on this thing. It's super simple. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you're an experienced rider and I missed something, hey, throw them in the comments for me, and I can always add it after the fact or whatever, edit it in. I can take the video down, re-edit it, or I can make a whole new video. In the next video, which won't necessarily be the video after this, it might be, it might not, we're going to talk about shifting and real-world application. So I am excited to see you in the next one. I hope you come and join me there. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.